Hello, all my blessed people, and welcome to Therapeutic Tea Tuesdays with Miss Star. Yeah, I am super excited about today's episode, and I have a special guest, really great friend of mine that I knew for over a decade, a worthy woman of wisdom, and I'm just gonna let her introduce yourself. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Christalee Moore. Yes, I'm so honored and blessed that Amber even thought of asking me, and of course, I would say yes. But I'm definitely honored to be here.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm honored to have you. And the topic of this episode, y'all, is nurturing character. And this perfectly describes my friend. And we're going to get into this even more. So get out your journals, get out your tea. It's about to be a bomb conversation. And Christalee, how are you today?
I am blessed. Can't complain. There's lots to complain about, but I won't.
Oh, I
Yes.
like it. And Christalee and I started the day off by going on a nice walk. Well, you've been walking longer than me. How long was your walk this morning?
An hour.
An hour. Oh, she's on it. But she supported me. We went for a nice walk and prayer before we started. So we're just excited. Christalee, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your kids, your mom, you're an educator. Let us know all the details.
Wow, that's a lot of information. Where to start? Who am I? Child of God. Anyhow,
Yes.
so I went to school and did social work. So I am a licensed clinical social worker.
Yes.
But where I'm from is New York City, the Bronx. I am born in Jamaica, but came here when I was about 9 years old to the States. And then from there, I moved to Connecticut when I got married to my husband in 2003. But I've been here, met Amber, so many great friends, family, started roots here in Connecticut, and this is where I feel like a lot of my life has taken root because, again, it's in my adulthood. In terms of like family, I've always wanted children. That was always something that I feel was a calling for me.
Yes.
So I do have 3 children, one in college and 2 in high school. Can't believe it. Time does fly. Wait for no man. But in terms of career-wise, my direction in terms of social work, I'm a therapist. I do mental health clinician work. And in terms of that, I've always been, like Amber said, a nurturing person. I've always been empathetic, listen, feel as though that's been a calling that God has placed on me to be able to hold things for others, to be able to listen, to be able to talk to people, come into my presence, to be able to be warm and invited and genuine. So that was a natural path that he had me go on.
Yes.
But initially, before that, I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I was looking forward to doing that after high school. But my portfolio burnt up and I was so discouraged with that. I kind of just sort of switched it around and said I wanted to just beautify people's lives through counseling. So I still do love fashion and all of that. But I also love helping to beautify people's lives. And again, scriptures talk about, beauty from ashes. So there's so many things that scriptures talk about that sort of help us in our healing journey. And I continue to use that in my life to inspire me as I've gone on so many different journeys throughout my short 40 years of life. But nonetheless, being here in Connecticut, I've met so many great people, been so inspired, and continue to grow in personally as well as in my career. I do work privately, so I work for myself, and it's been a rewarding journey thus far. being able to do things that I want to do, that I'm passionate about, and
Yes.
having clients on that journey along with me, being able to listen in a different way from before when I was working for other people, being able to sort of direct the way that I want my path to be. And that's been hard and also rewarding because, again, you still have certain rules that you're bound by, certain things that you're bound by, but trying to be able to create the craft that God has laid on my heart, and never forget where I'm coming from and where I am supposed to be going. So that's the focus, and I always try to maintain my strong spiritual walk, because that's always been the focus. That's what leads, that's what guides me, and that's been, no matter what happens, no matter what stumbling block comes in my way, I'm able to um, keep focus, and that helps me back on my journey. So my family, most of my family are still in New York, Jamaica. Few of us is here in Connecticut, but it's been a rewarding journey. But again, along the way, there's been trials as well. But trying to maintain and stay in touch with each other has always been, I think, a big part of my life, to be able to keep that, so it grounds you.
Yes.
It helps you along the way. So, yeah.
She gave us all the scoop. I want to go to Jamaica, Christalee.
Yes.
Speaking of Jamaica, since I've never been, what is a few of your favorite childhood memories of Jamaica?
Funny enough, I was just talking about this with my nieces at home. So I remember as a little girl, we lived in church. It felt like just I was raised with my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, and I felt like every week we were at a funeral. Every day we were at church for something. So it was just like we lived at church. And I went to a brethren church. That's the kind of church I was raised in. So it's very like, lots of older people, and it's just, you sing lots of hymns, and you're just nodding off to sleep.
I won't tell, I promise.
So that's the kind of church that I was raised in. So it's like thinking back on those memories, and I'm able to laugh now in hindsight, sort of like, wow, my roots were so deep, and being able to connect with other kids after those things, because when you're raised with your grandparents, it was just us, cousins, just a lot of us. But anyhow, going to church constantly, that part was boring in terms of sitting in the pews and singing those hymn songs, but you were able still to connect with friends and little cousins outside. So like, those are the things that I remember, just pure fun. I remember going to the market with my grandmother. She sold things at the market, just always being with her. That was my biggest comfort, being with my grandmother. So always going to the market with her, being there with her, watching how things flow, watching how people are interacting. I think all of those things set the tone for who I am now, and being able to be super perceptive and things like that. So those are some of my fondest memories of Jamaica, as well as just good food. Good food.
Oh man, I know it was.
Yes.
I know you were young at the time, but how was your transition from moving from, oh my goodness, from a whole different country to the U.S. and then Connecticut in particular? How was that transition for you?
So as a little girl, I didn't really remember like my parents so much, because they left when I was 6 months.
Okay.
So my grandparents are my parents. That's who I know as my parents. So when the transition came, where we were moving from, it was me and my other two siblings. We were leaving Jamaica to come here to New York to our parents. That for me was traumatic.
Right.
But I think there was nobody there to tell you how to go through it.
Right.
It was just sort of like, yeah, you're going to your parents. So just transition. But for me, it was hard because leaving my grandmother. And again, you're young. You didn't know when you were going to see them again or what was going to happen. Because again, my parents to me are like strangers. Yes, I remember them coming to Jamaica one time when I was little. But it was here or there to me. So when we came here, it was winter, December. Oh my gosh, it was freezing. It was beautiful seeing all the lights, but it was freezing. Sort of trying to understand what I'm taking in. But also, before we came to New York, we left. Where I'm from in Jamaica is called Bybrook. It's in Portland, so it's like the rainforest of Jamaica. So we left that part to go to the city area where, in Kingston, where my eldest sister is. So my eldest sister on my dad's side, so she was coming up with us. So it was that we left where we're from to go to her, stay there the night, and then leave to take the plane to come to the United States. So come in, meeting my parents for the first time. It was again, I don't know these people, so it was me missing my grandmother and grandfather. So that transition, what helped was the fact that I had my siblings with me that, again, you grew up with, so you're not doing it alone.
Right.
So I think that helped, and so that was sort of getting used to the way things worked here. So I was very, very quiet for a long time in New York in terms of in the school systems. I was very quiet. But at home, what helped too is we love music. My father used to always play like Jamaican skits, and we played like the reggae music and things like that. So we enjoyed expressing ourselves that way. So that was always nice to have those things. And we did skits, just random skits. We would just put on skits all the time. And it was fortunate too, the church that we went to had a lot of islanders, so they did lots of like plays, Christmas, Easter, different plays, and we were always a part of these plays. So it was like those were nice and helpful, as well as in the church that we went to. God has always placed a lot of women in my life that acted as surrogates. Wherever I've gone in my life, always. So I've always met lots of amazing women who sort of comforted, took me under their wings. So that was nice. So the transition from New York to Connecticut, well, I met my husband in New York. He's from Boston. He's also from Jamaica. So his journey is Jamaica to Boston, that area. Mine was Jamaica to New York.
Love it.
So he had cousins. So funny enough, my best friend from second grade, her sister was in a relationship with my husband's cousin. That's how I met my husband. So he came to visit them, and I was there babysitting.
See, there goes that nurturing character of Christalee that I'm talking about.
So I was there, and he wanted me to meet this guy, his cousin. He's like, he's really quiet. He's a really good guy. I want you to meet him because I think the same of you. So we met, and it was sort of like one of those stories that you've heard that you're like, that's not real. Love at first sight. Like when I met him, God had already showed me him. And it was so specific. What I wanted, dark skin, Indian looking guy, white teeth, bow legs.
She had a vision, yeah.
Preppy look, and it was like, God was like, yes, I got you.
So let me ask you this, Christalee. When you saw him, was you in love?
So it was love at first sight. I knew that I was going to be with him. Yes.
Did he make the first move?
No, I did, because I was that bold.
Oh,
yes.
I love it.
So basically saying hello.
Right.
That was like the first move.
Right.
Sort of like, hi, how are you? Things like that. But it was just smiles. It was, so speaking to him, it felt like somebody's holding you. It felt warm. It felt inviting. I knew that, okay, this wasn't just a simple hello or a simple, oh, this is your cousin kind of thing. This was something deeper. This was something different.
Wow.
And it's funny, when we started dating, 2 weeks later, he told me the same thing, that he also saw that he had a vision that he was going to also be with me.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Let them know, Christalee.
Yeah.
How long have y'all been married?
So we've been married. It's going to be 20 years this August.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I keep telling her, yeah, she needs to have a 20-year anniversary. Can you do that for me one of these years?
One of these years.
Yes.
One of these years.
Well, you ain't going nowhere, so and I ain't going nowhere, so I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yes, you and many others. But yeah, like just a love story that continues. There's been lots of trials, but I think most importantly is respect. Just respecting each other,
Ooh.
always talking to each other,
Right.
remembering. And I've often told like a lot of my couples counseling. I've always told a lot of my clients that you have to remember your first love. Why did you fall in love?
Ooh, that's good.
Always, when things is going bad, when things is, we tend to like go on in life and live separately. Like, oh, you're doing that, I'm doing that, and nobody's connecting. You have to remember, why did I fall in love with this person? And that usually sort of like resuscitate the relationship. If you cannot connect that question anymore, there's something wrong. You need to look at what's going on, what's separating the two of you.
Right.
So it's always like, why did I fall in love? Even if it was just something simple as, oh, the smile. All right, use that again to resuscitate why, and help you to connect.
Ooh.
So it's just like, that's the question I've always asked myself, even in difficult times. Why? Why am I here? Why do I want this?
Ooh,
Yeah.
that was powerful. That was powerful.
Yes.
Christalee, like, let them know, like, on a day-to-day basis in your professional life, how does work look like for you each and every day?
Well, because I work for myself, private practice, work looks a little bit more flexible in terms of, I do like to start early, so
Okay.
I do start early. So I am currently only doing remote right now, so it's video. I gave up my office 2 years ago over the pandemic.
Right.
The same issue. It was just like, okay, we don't know when this is going to lift or give us a moment. So it was just like, all right, let's transition to telehealth. So that's what I've been doing. And a day to day, I start from probably 8, 9 a.m. and I don't get done till like probably after 6, sometimes 7. And I keep it basically where Tuesday to Friday that I do this. And for me, it's a different feeling when you get to wake up and do what your calling is.
Yes.
And you know your calling and you walk into it. When God gives you an identity and you recognize what that identity is and you allow yourself not to forget it and to walk into it every day, and you walk in God's grace and his power and his mercy, and he covers you because you allow him. Like, for me, I often pray, like, God, this is your child. This is your child. Speak to me. Let me know what to tell them. Especially when it's like difficulty. Ideations of different sorts or different things going on. They feel so discouraged, so weak, so broken. God,
Right.
speak through me. Because I'm going through my own stuff too at times, right? We're human.
Right.
So it's like, God, right now, I don't know what to tell your child to bring life, breathe life into your child. And he never, never lets me down. Never. It's like, sometimes I'm talking and when I'm done with a session, I'm like, oh, really? Where did that come from, right?
Right.
So, like, that's how I feel every day that I get to do my work. I'm not, it's funny, people often tell you about burnout. And I said, nope, that's not a thing for me. I don't get burnt out, right? But you also have to be careful how much load you're carrying.
Yes.
That's the thing, too, because you're balancing life as well, everything else that's happening externally. So for me, the term sort of burnt out, the reason why I feel like I've never really faced that is because, again, I'm walking in my calling, and I try to be mindful of how much I'm doing, how much I'm carrying, and also that notion of, I can't work harder than you.
Yes, that's good.
You have to know, you have to be careful not to take on society's values of this idea of what therapists look like and what therapy is supposed to be. And no, if you're struggling with something, I am coming alongside of you and guiding you, and you are still in the driver's seat. You are the one directing and leading. I'm just helping you along the way. So I can't work harder than you waiting for you to catch up. That makes no sense.
Right.
We're working alongside you. So I am not going to carry all your stuff for you. That's not what this is about. Because then you will have learned nothing. How would you learn on this journey if I'm constantly carrying everything for you? So there's a lot that you have to be mindful of and be careful of. I have lots of like scriptures on my wall right at my computer that I'm always like refreshing myself, because you need to speak life into yourself as well as you're speaking into other people. You need to also be speaking into yourself. And I different groups that I'm a part of, prayer groups, Bible study. You still have to feed yourself because you're constantly needing that. So for me, waking up and doing what I do, it's a calling. So it's a blessing.
It is.
Yes.
I love it, Christalee. And you are definitely walking in your calling. Christalee, you gave one example. You talked about communication, smile. If you had to give 2 additional tips for marriages and to keep that spark, what would you say?
Intimacy.
That's good.
And intimacy in the sense of intimacy doesn't have to mean sex.
Right.
Or it doesn't have to end in sex. Intimacy starts from you rise up. Just that simple touch, that you touch the person on their arms, or the way that you look at each other, the way that you smile as you leave. Intimacy is so much more, and I think it's deep. Being able to have that, being able to also build each other up. So again, that same theme that I've been saying, speak life into one another.
Right.
Being able to encourage each other, even if you don't feel like, why am I always encouraging this person? Why do I always have to build you up? Why? Take that is not what God called you to do. Right? And being able to speak life into that person, remember that they will reciprocate that behavior.
Right.
Because they're feeling stronger. When we leave each other and we go out in the world, there's so much external pressures that we take on. There's so much battles that we have to battle. So you may be stronger in one area than your spouse. That your spouse may be stronger in a different area. There may be weaknesses that are different or same.
Right.
But you guys have to be able to understand what each other's weaknesses are as well as strengths, and be able to speak life into those areas and to help each other. And it's not about being somebody's parent.
Right.
Throw that away. None of that.
No, we don't want that. You don't marry to be a parent.
It's about that partnership that you are committed to and you wanting to build. And when difficult times come in, still speak life.
Yes.
God is bigger than any of those problems that you will face in your relationship, and you need to remember that. He is bigger. Give him power in all of those situations. It's hard to say, oh, she's just saying that. She's just, talking like, oh, this God thing. But if you don't genuinely believe that he can, then you are paralyzing him in those situations in your life. God can do anything. He can overstep you and do anything.
Yes,
but he didn't create us to be robots, right?
Right.
He wants us to want that authentic relationship with him. So you seek after him just as how you seek after your husband or your wife in the relationship. You want to grow. You want to nourish the relationship. So you are going to do things to build it up. I'm at the track. Why? Just for my health? You know what I mean? No, I'm at the track for my health. I want to look right. I want to feel good mentally. So because I want these things, I am going to go to the track and put the work in. So it's the same thing for your relationships. Don't neglect them.
Oh, I hope y'all have y'all journals and y'all's writing notes as she's giving out some just marriage tips that are so needed in today's world, and that is so important. I agree with you 100%, Christalee. That's why she's been married for 20 years. And successful and joy and filled with joy.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's important too.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that, Christalee. I'm just, I hope y'all had your journals, because she just planted some seeds that we needed to hear. So, Christalee, how are you, part of nurturing is nurturing yourself. How are you preparing for marriage? You always wanted to be a wife. You wanted to be a mother. During the time prior, how are you preparing for marriage?
That's a really good question, because I don't necessarily think most people prepare for marriage.
Right.
We just, okay, that's the next step. All right. It's either do I want to or don't I want to.
Right.
But I feel for me it was always taking care of myself, paying attention to my parents' marriage, to other marriages around me, because I was always fascinated by relationships.
Right.
So that for me was a natural thing to do. How I treated my friends. When I'm frustrated, what did I do with that anger? What do I do with my frustration? So understanding myself, and I think that's what helped me to be prepared for marriage, is understanding me.
Yes.
I remember when I got saved, I was in middle school, and I remember one of the things that I struggled with was just getting angry easily. Most people would never know that and did not know that.
Wow.
But it's an internal thing. Like I'll be frustrated. I want to move fast. All right, let's go, right?
Right.
And I needed, so like you felt like there was that thin line between you becoming more of an anxious spirit. And during those years, I remember one of the scriptures that I was led to was, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which you are called in one body, and be thankful. And I remember that scripture, and I practiced. And anytime I was feeling stressed, anytime I was feeling frustrated, angry, I would just keep reciting that verse, reciting it. And that is my verse that I go to. So I always tell people, have a verse that you go to, have a verse that you can hold on, you can stand on to help you throughout your journey. Different verses for different reasons. But that, I feel, I did a lot of internal work because I knew that there were things that I was lacking, that I wanted to do better. And I think on that journey, even being so young, was because I watched relationships. Right. So I knew that I wanted to get married. I knew that I wanted children. And having a lot of, like I said, women that God put in my life, that I watched them and seen how they were as parents, how they were in their relationship. And one of the things I said I never wanted was a marriage where, you know, as a wife, I'm doing my own thing and I'm like, so giving everything of myself to everybody, where I'm depleted, and my husband is, you know, this on this pedestal and he's amazing and everybody's, you know, I wanted something more together. It's the relationships that you saw in the church for me didn't meet what God said relationships should look like. And that was just me looking on from the outside.
Right.
I didn't feel like they looked like together. I didn't feel like there was so much that wasn't right to me as a young girl. And as I got older, hindsight, look back and I can, you know, you see certain things and you're like, oh, okay. And you learned of different whispers and different things that I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So now it's like my journey, I strive to have marriage, but the way that God wants it to be. And one of the things, you know, you take offense to with, you know, we get married because we're weak. That's what the Bible said, you know?
Right.
If you can't just focus on me and keep it that, all right, then get married. These are the rules that you need to follow. So getting married, all right, God said, all right, get married now. You both can focus on me. But it makes it harder, right? Because there's so much other additional struggles that you go through. And unless if you were single, then it's different. You could focus more on God and do what He's called you to do. So for me, it's like I feel like that started when I was much, much younger. And then my grandmother had told me when I went back to Jamaica to visit before she passed with my eldest daughter, and she said that that I was meant to be married and have kids.
That's good.
So it was a behavior that I've exhibited from I was younger.
Right.
Just that nurture and just that way of being. So it's nothing surprising.
Yes.
Right?
And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful characteristic. Christalee, what's if you had to choose one? And I know there's probably multiple, but you are a helpmate to your husband. If you had to choose one thing, what is it that you love about helping with your husband and being a wife?
Helping him?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So I love working with him, like actually working with him. He is very quiet, calm person and very, very smart. And I love how smart he is, his intelligence. So I like being around him and having conversations with him. He knows so much. And you would never know because he doesn't talk much. So
it was meant for you to hear it.
So just being around him, I think it's something that enjoy.
Right.
That's the thing that I enjoy. Your other question is, I don't remember.
Sure, it was helping your husband, and then what thing you love about being a wife.
A wife. I think the partnership, right?
Right.
'Cause I don't want to be alone. So I think for me, that vulnerability is the partnership.
Ooh.
I enjoy the partnership.
Right. I like
Yeah.
what you said, that vulnerability and partnership.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that for me, is
Right.
it. Yeah.
Ah, so we got the nurturing side of Christalee professionally and her life as a wife. I actually met Christalee in a nurturing environment.
Yes, we did.
So Christalee and I met, I don't even know, maybe early 2000s.
Yes.
And we actually met in a group home setting. We were both residential counselors where we assisted individuals with disabilities with daily activities of daily living. So I met Christalee there in a nurturing environment, and from there we've just had a span of friendship. So this is Christalee now, but this has always been her.
Pretty much.
Right. Oh, I think one of my fondest memories of just us just helping them and like going outside and just spending quality time with them, Christalee, for me.
Yeah. Same here. And just seeing like their stories. Because I
Right.
love stories. Again, I love relationships, right? I love people. So like understanding their stories, what brought them to this place. Some of them were born like this. Some of them, had different tragedies happen to them, and it's just that break. But just seeing how you can go from one place, the file says this, but if you have the right staff in house that's giving them the nurturing that they need, that's giving them the guidance, the support, we've seen growth in some of them. We've seen like behaviors sort of change.
Right.
We've seen acting out behaviors when certain staff come to the house versus when other staff don't. So that makes you say, wait a minute. So you don't have to stay this way.
Right.
This is partly a choice too, right?
Right.
So it's that behavior, that's that thing within us. So it's like seeing that and being able to feel good about being a part of their journeys. Because you don't have to be a part of it, but being able to be a part of it. And also, I think those jobs also help you to really work on your patience.
Yes.
On your humanity, recognizing that there's nothing really different between them and us.
Right.
They were born that way, or, like I said, something happened and there was a break.
Right.
So any of us, we're just teetering, right?
Right.
At any given day. So be careful how you treat others. Be careful what you do, because, again, just never know.
You don't. It was a humbling experience.
Absolutely.
I also learned there we cooked a lot, and Christalee, oh my goodness, her food is the bomb, yeah. But I learned, not that she went all out because we were at work, but she definitely taught me some cooking dishes, and I cooked a lot for them there, so that was awesome as well.
Yes, we did.
But hey, they never complained.
No.
Christalee, when I say a nurturer, what does that mean to you?
So a nurturer definitely provides, guides, covers, builds, help to come alongside you on your journey. Whatever support you need, they're able to help you towards that direction. That's what a nurturer means to me. That's what I try to be.
That's what you embody.
Yeah.
And I thought of you because I was like, you protect, you feed, and just as you mentioned, you guide, and you have that in your heart. So we talked about your husband, we talk about professionally, you are a mother. Christalee, take us on that journey of from the beginning of what your pregnancy looked like, and just to where you are now, to just 3 successful kids, and not only in terms of accolades, right, but respect for you and for your husband and for your family, successful. Walk us through that journey.
So my first daughter, she's 5 years older than her siblings, and I think being my first, I struggled with that pregnancy in the sense that, so my husband took me out of my parents' home, right? And we started living together, and I got pregnant and all of the shebang. But I think, you know how you go through certain things, but you didn't think that that would be you.
Right.
So, like, just the sickness of it, just the pain. You know, you heard of this. They paint this picture for you of this beautiful pregnancy experience, but that's not true for everyone, right? So it was more so that, and then my husband and I, we've always worked hard, and he works hard, so he was always gone to work because, again, it was just the two of us trying to make it, you know, in New York City, and it was rough being it's just the two of us. There was not that much support in terms of moving out of my parents' house. There was a lot of things going on during that time around that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely hard. So he worked a lot, and we went to our own little apartment. We had to do the back and forth doctor's appointments, figuring this out, figuring that out. There was a lot of little things that, you know, you'd love for people to tell you.
Right.
But again, my friends and I are all in the same age. I was the first one to get pregnant. What are they going to tell me? You know, so it was just like, it was just a lot of that. Anyhow, having her, for the first year, like, she was a poor eater. It was like the stressors of figuring her out and figuring that out. And we moved to Connecticut when she was a year and a half. So again, it was us, just still us against everything else, because it was, we knew no one in Connecticut. So moving here was, again, in its own self hardship, but it was just the right transition that we needed. So having her, again, like I said, 5 years apart from her siblings, she went everywhere with me. We did everything. We went to college. She was in our classes. She was in his class. She was in my class. We did everything. And then we decided to have started having more kids, and we did all of this while we were in school. Like, I felt like I was in school eternally, right? So when I got pregnant again with my second daughter, we were still in school again, and we got pregnant twice in 1 year. So that's where Christalee and Dominic came in, and I felt like people at the school was like, wait, she's still pregnant? So yes, when I got my 6 weeks checkup with Christalee, I was pregnant with Dominic. So that was, needless to say, traumatizing. I felt like I had a out-of-body experience. Like, the doctor told me, and I left me sitting in the chair like, what am I supposed to do with this? So,
it happens, right?
yes,
It's beautiful.
Yes, it does. So, needless to say, like, motherhood has been rewarding but also difficult, because again, these are things that you learn on the job. There's no book, there's no one really, you know, people can tell you their point of view from their point of view, from their experience, from what they know, from what they've read, but to put it into play, it may not fit that particular child. So one of the biggest things that I learned was that you have to parent each child differently, based on their personality, based on who they are. So my eldest daughter, she read all the time, super, super quiet, shy, super smart, but she wasn't bold enough to go out and stand on her own, right? So I recognized that from early, so that was work that I had to start doing with her.
Right.
You know, coaxing her, making sure she goes along into certain activities, bringing her to different places, you know, opening her up to different opportunities. So that was the job that I continued to do with her. My middle daughter, more exuberant, you know, wanted to, she could make friends at the drop of a dime. She's just out, social, whatever. My son, still reserved, quiet, but he's more of the balance between them. and learning how to parent each of them differently. What worked for my eldest daughter may not work for my middle daughter, and I had to recognize that. You also don't compare. You also don't,
right.
let certain words come out of your mouth, because you can take away life
Great point.
instead of breathing life into them. And you needed to always go back to God. All right, God, you're the ultimate parent. Give me the peace, give me the patience, give me the guidance, teach me how to be the parent for her, teach me how to be the parent for him, and things like that. And trusting God when I had to let Sophia start to go off on like her middle school. They did a lot of like trips where they would sleep over at different camping situations, and asking God to just give me the peace to know that she'll be okay. One of the things that we ended up having to do is, and she prayed about it as well, and it was letting her go to uh, on-campus college.
Right.
And that also helped her within the shyness, stepping out, being bold about what she wants to do. She struggled for a long time whether or not to become a doctor, all because of her shyness, not wanting to be in a profession where she have to talk to people so much, or she has to interact, because it becomes exhausting, and you have to recognize certain things about yourself. And for her now, choosing neuroscience, and possibly, okay, you can do the research side, or you can do other, figuring out where you fit, what you want to do. So it's all of those things you're trying to figure out how to help each of them. And then now having my last two in this generation where it's all about social media, everything's moving fast, video games, and my son coming to me, yeah, I think I want to do gaming. I was like, absolutely not. and like, no, that's not a career. And explaining to him as far as why and what is it that you're looking to gain from that.
Right.
How will you help others? What is it that you're going to do? So it's like they see one thing from what the world is telling them or what they think, and you have to help them and guide them. And it's not about just being stern and hard. Absolutely not. It's going alongside them on this journey and guiding and helping them. You have a conversation here about it. Leave it alone. Help them to see things through their eyes.
Yes.
Like even my middle daughter, finally she struggled for a while with what she wanted to do, and now she's telling me that she thinks she's going to do nursing.
Okay.
My son, his natural talent is engineering, which is what his father is. Naturally, he's super smart, and all of that, but he's trying to go against the grain, and helping him to see how there are various people, there are various things in life that when you try to go against what your natural calling is, you just make things more harder for yourself. What is it about your natural calling that you don't necessarily like? How can we adjust certain things? What is it that you are looking for? How can you find a career that bring the two together? So at this point, we're talking about computer sciences, computer engineer, things like that. So it's helping. You're still on the computer. You're still able to build, but in a different way. So it's like you just think about and help them to grow. Don't be stern. Don't be cold. Try to get into their world and understand what they're looking at and from their perspective. So it's like those are the things. Like I watch anime. I watch all of those things with my kids, because again, I want to know them. I want to continue to know who they are. And that's also one of the things too that helps me with therapy, right? Because I also have kids. My specialty is also kids.
Yes.
And they understanding their world by getting into their world. You have to.
Yes.
You have to. There's no way that you're not. It's because you can't guide them if you don't understand them.
Right. Aligning.
Yeah. So definitely parenting for me has been a challenge, but also rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah. And God got jokes because he thinks it's funny. He keeps sending other kids my way, So now I have my nephew lives with me and two other nieces. Yeah.
Christalee, you got this. God has guided you. You have a nurturing, so they're going to prosper.
Yeah. So, and in terms of like respect, yeah, absolutely. They tell me that. They tell me, and we have Bible study every week, and I think it was 2 weeks ago. No, last week's Bible study. one of the twins said to my husband, like, I want to have your wisdom. I want to
Ooh.
know, I want to have the kind of wisdom you have. And she's always telling me, I want to have your patience. You're just so patient. Nothing bothers you. I want to have your patience. So then my daughter was like, what, girl? Like, they both are full of wisdom and patience. Like, I want to have both what they have. So it's like, hearing them talk like that, you're like, huh,
Yes.
okay, I guess I have patience.
You do.
You know, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I am kind of have wisdom.
Yes, you own it,
Within
Christalee.
yourself, you don't necessarily see yourself as that.
Mhm.
But when you hear, like, coming out of the mouth of babes, right, your children or other kids, like, saying these things about you, you're like, okay, all right.
Right. They reinforced you in that moment.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
You do hold that. One of what I love about Christalee is the birthday parties.
Oh.
For all three of her kids, she would throw just an awesome birthday party in her
Yes.
backyard with a little bit of everything. And I'm like, she's just such an awesome mom. They are so dope parents. And yeah, don't get me started about the food. I mean, I'm not a child, so the activities were on point, of course. But for me, it was just the food. Soon as she like, Amber, I'm like, yes, it's a party. Where is my plate? Let me make sure I come over there and my stomach is just empty. Because when I leave, not only am I going to be full, like, you're going to nourish me with your food, but just your wisdom and the presence of your household.
Thank you.
I
Thank
always
you.
got that from you. Christalee, you got 3 beautiful biological children. What is some great memories that you remember about with your children in particular?
I think, God just laid it on my spirit, so I guess I'm supposed to say it, right? But, like, one of the things that, with my eldest daughter, she's such an amazing person, but she doesn't necessarily know how amazing she is or how purposeful her life is.
Ooh.
Or how necessary, and I continue to remind her and feed her and let her know. And I'll tell you why. Like, I remember when we moved to Connecticut and it was just us, and it was one day in particular, I was so stressed and anxious, and I was struggling with God knows what. And this emotion came over me, and I went in the bathroom, I locked the door, and she was probably like 3, and she came to the door and she's knocking, mommy, and I'm sitting by the door and I'm crying, and I'm just like praying, and I'm like, God, I don't know what's going on, and I'm just praying, and I'm telling her, I'm okay, and she could hear it in my voice. 3 years old.
Wow.
And she, my husband called, and she had the phone, and she answered, Daddy, I don't know what's wrong with mommy. Mommy's in the bathroom.
Oh. At 3 years old.
At 3 years old. And I had to gather myself and then to come out and make sure that she's okay.
Right.
From what I was going through, that I didn't know what I was going through. But it was just overwhelming. And I say that as a memory that I share because throughout her life, she got baptized. Marguerite got baptized at the same time. She inspired my husband. My husband ended up getting baptized.
Wow.
Sophia will walk into some place and people are drawn to her. She don't want it. But people
But it's
are drawn
natural.
to her. She was prophesied at church, and she is going to inspire so many people and do so much, even in spite of her shyness.
Yes.
She has one of the most beautiful voices at singing, and I want everybody to be able to hear her, but she just, nope. Naturally talented.
Yes.
You know, listen to music and then play it. You know, she is just an amazing child, and seeing her grow, seeing her develop, just amazing.
Right.
Right? On this journey. So that's one of my most fondest memories just because I get to see her grow and develop. And I remember when she was leaving middle school to go to high school, and we were praying, and she did a fast to figure out which school she was supposed to go to, Sacred Heart or Laurelton. And God told her Sacred Heart. She went there. She thrived. That's school for her. Same thing. Prayed fast. Connecticut College is the college that she went to. So that she is attending. So it's like on her journey, she doesn't realize the power that she possessed.
Yes.
So it's like seeing that, and that's why it's one of my most fondest memories, because it continues, right? Other fond memories with my children is my middle daughter. She has saved her brother's life twice already.
Wow.
Yes. Isn't that crazy? Like,
that is
where did these kids come from?
powerful.
Like, he was choking, and she told, at the time, paternal grandmother, Grandma, Dominic. And she's signaling her to him in the seat, choking.
Wow.
And this happened like twice.
Wow.
She is just so perceptive, amazing kid. But fond memories again with my kids is us spending time together. We're always laughing, watching movies. We're big on watching movies together. We talk smack with each other.
Yes.
And, just hanging out together, sports, doing different things. Taking Camaria is the kid that every sport you put her in, she excels. So it's like I was always going somewhere. It's just like, pick a sport, girl. So it's just like nonstop. She does modeling, she does this, she does that. It's just all over the place. So it's just like being able to spend time with each of them and understanding them. I think those are fond memories for me, being the five of us together, going on trips to Jamaica, Canada, wherever we went, Texas, being able to recognize and see that we all need each other.
Yes.
And we all like each other and like to be around each other. And
Yes.
that for me is something that I strive to create, and sometimes it's not that easy, or like, man, are they gonna, make up anytime soon? Especially the two last ones, because they're so close in age, and Camaria wants to be older. So she's born in January, and Dominic is born in December.
Okay.
Yeah. So at 1 month, they're the same age. And Camaria just doesn't like that. She just wants to be older. So it's just like... So, they go through that, but now they're back at the stage where they're good with each other. So that's a blessing.
Oh, it is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And you talked about nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself, nurturing your husband, your kids. What does nurturing look like for your family and for your friends? I mean, I'm one of your friends, been for over a decade, but what does nurturing look like for your other family members and for your friends, Christalee, on a daily basis?
Like how I nurture them?
Yes.
Oh, shooting out a text. I'm doing that.
Yes.
How are you? Just thinking about you? Because God is always putting people in your spirit, But I'm always sending out a text, checking in. How are you guys doing? I'm not a big phone call person, but I think that has a big role to do with my career.
Yes.
I get tired of talking sometimes.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And it's just the honest truth. Like,
can I tell you, you do good in person though. When we get together for our one-on-ones, you I'll text you. You'll schedule that though.
I'm good at checking in with people, scheduling things. I'm big. Everybody that knows me knows that I'm big on birthdays, because that's the day that God has decided that you should come here on this earth. So we need to always celebrate, no matter how old you are. So that's why my kids has always had like these huge parties.
Ooh, I'm with you.
And my kids, it's funny, if you think about when we conceived them, you'd laugh, because we were always in school, and then we got a break, and then we had a baby, I guess. So like my daughter was born in February, my eldest. Then my second daughter is January. Then my son is in December. So they're winter babies.
Yes.
And we love to party. So what is happening? Right? What I did was I changed it all. I have a big party for them in the summer for their birthdays. That's how we did it.
Yes.
And for years, the last one was, I think, 2 years before the pandemic. That was the last one because they were getting at that stage where they wanted to do other things. They wanted to travel. They wanted to do their own other things. So like we used to do color the backyard, the ground. We did bouncy. We did everything. Just amazing thing. You know, party bus. We did everything.
And she invited us, her family and friends.
Yes. And you can bring your family with you. You can bring your little nieces, whatever, with you. So my parties are that way. It's not, oh, just for the people I invite. If you need to bring some, bring them. You know,
Yes.
It's just an enjoyment, celebration of life. So for me, with my friends, I'm big on birthdays, so you better believe it. When do you want to go out for your birthday? What are we doing for your birthday? Or if over the pandemic, I just send you a gift. You know, things like that. So it's always a celebration. So it's nurturing my friends. That's how I am. And when I get in person with you, this is how I am. We're going to talk. We're going to, love on each other. We're going to have fun. But like I said, I'm not big on phone calls because phone calls then, it's just, because of what I do for a living, it just becomes, and I also had to balance that because I recognize that I do this for a living and I work. And then I come home and I don't have enough time for my family.
Right.
Because then I'm calling a friend, I'm calling a family member, and those conversations can take long.
An hour.
And then you recognize that, it's 8 p.m. and I have not connected with my kids or my husband. And those are things I had to learn. And that's part of the nurturing. So you're paying attention. You're constantly watching how things are evolving. And you don't want to be behind.
Right.
You have to try to be alongside or ahead so that you can kind of help and guide on that journey. And it's like you're not caught off guard. Oh, I didn't recognize this. Oh, I didn't know my kids were this, or my kids is going there. No, you have to be alongside on that journey. So it's like recognizing these things and doing something about it. You're never not without power. Doing something about it. So yeah,
you keep a balanced, nurturing life.
I try to.
You spend time with us. Christalee will, when you come into a friendship, we spend group time, but we also have our one-on-one time. And when you can expect Christalee, she's going to be soft. She's going to be gentle. We're going to pray together.
Yep.
We're going to laugh. We might shed some tears, and it's a non-judgmental environment. Christalee, what would you say, some encouraging words to all the wives, the mothers, the nurturers? What's some encouraging words that you would say to them today?
Oh my goodness. Right now, ladies, burn the cape.
Yes.
Burn it, burn it, burn it. Society has told us that we need to take on this role where we are everything to everyone except ourselves. Burn it. No longer. God did not call us to do that. He told me I was by the light at Southern coming home, feeling the weight of one of the external stressors that was in my life at the time. And he said to me, Christalee, I did not call you to carry anybody's weight.
Right.
As you and I are here sitting talking right now, he said this to me, and I was just at the light, and it's like, okay, weight lifted. When you recognize that you are taking away God's job, you don't need to be everything for everyone, not even your children or your spouse. You don't need to carry the weight for anyone. What you are supposed to do, what we are supposed to do is give it to God and leave it there. Yes, you're going to worry. He knows these things about us. That's why he gives us all these verses to recite, to remember. Prayer, prayer, prayer. Go out, enjoy yourself. He wants you to give it to him. Also, on my journey, I take care of myself. I get massages regularly.
Yes.
I go walking, I run, I exercise, I go to bed.
Rest.
He calls us to rest.
Yes,
we
he
take
does.
on too much and we don't realize how much this tempo is carrying and how much we are putting on it and expecting it to work. And when it doesn't work, God, why did you do this? God, why didn't you show? And he's telling you, baby, I've always been here. You did not trust me enough to give me everything.
Right, right.
So that is what, if I can tell you ladies anything, that is what I'll tell you. Be kind to you.
Yes.
Love you. And remember, love is not just a 4-letter word. Define it. Love does things. It's actions. So you have to be careful not to get lost in the things and the changes of this world, because we have a God that does not change.
Yes.
And he loves us enough that he said, I'm going to send my son to help y'all out. He's going to die for you. And on top of it, you didn't ask me to.
Right.
I'm just going to do it for you. So you can walk freely into my kingdom. These are the guidelines.
I love it. Oh,
There's no secret to God.
Right.
He's so open.
right. Ooh,
But if you want it, walk into it.
right. Ooh, Christalee, that was powerful. Thank you. Thank you.
It's God.
Thank you.
Oh, God.
Oh, thank you. All glory to God.
Amen. Always.
Thank you for showing up with me on Red Media Radio, y'all, for Therapeutic Tuesdays with Life Coach Miss Star. Thank you, Christalee.
You are welcome.
Christalee, where can people connect with you if they're interested in counseling, just want a prayer, encouraging words? What is the best contact information for you?
So email,
Okay.
always great. So it's afreshstartllc@gmail.com. So a
Yes.
fresh start.
A fresh start.
That's the name.
LLC.
2018@gmail.com.
Yes,
There
thank
you
you.
go.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Christalee, for joining me.
Absolutely.
Everybody, nurture your relationship with God. Nurture your relationship with yourself, your family, your friends, your loved ones.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me. I'm sending abundance of blessings your way. Life Coach Miss Star. Find me on all the major social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Keep it locked. Sending blessings your way. Nurture yourself.
Amen.